All right, we should be live. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
I don't have hands still. Someday.
Someday.
It's an upgrade. Yeah, we're
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Welcome, folks, to our post-mortem of our Flipull board boost. I will introduce myself. My name is Zarek, and I'm a moderator for Board Boosters. You've seen me before if you've been to the show before. Folks, do you want to go around, introduce yourselves, and we can get going?
sure. I'll go next.
Go.
I am Zero Counts, another moderator for Board Boosters. You've also seen me around here. I played some Flipull in December, and I gotta say, it's a puzzle game. All right, and
This is true.
I'll pass it on to Cell.
Hi, I'm Cell. You've also seen me on these events. You've not seen me stream. I'm bad. I'll work on that someday. But yeah, so here we are, and I'll pass it right along.
All right. Hi, I'm Latalis. I am also a moderator. Wow, go figure. I did a bit of the Flipull streams early in December, and yeah, I'm around. Off to Shadow.
Hi, I'm Muta Shadow, and I played a lot of Flipull. I kind of actually, I decided that I was going to play Flipull because it seemed like it would be it would be at least easy to complete one run or two, because it was just a puzzle game. Just had to beat 10 levels, and I hadn't done a board boosters run for several months. I think actually since October of 23. So I should jump in on this one because I know I can at least complete it. And then I kind of got obsessed with Flipull, and I'm still not even done with it yet. I just haven't really gotten a chance to get back to it.
It was a very exciting cube game after all.
It's true.
Yeah.
So
it was an exciting cube game.
And they weren't even cubes. That's how exciting it was.
yeah, it's all the exciting square game.
Imagine they were cubes.
But yeah, hey, this was our December boost. If there's anybody here who happens to have not been to a Board Boosters event before, welcome. We are the Board Boosters. We're a speedrunning club that tries to shine some light on some underrepresented speedruns on the SRC boards, games that don't have a lot of runners and we feel should. Us in the community, and the game that we decided was to run in December, which was suggested by our own Uchida, was Flipull, specifically for the Game Boy. But there's two versions that we did run over the month. There's one on the Famicom or the NES as well, and you might notice in the description, or like the game that we selected for the stream, that the game title is Plotting. This was the original title of the game given by Taito, the developers. So you might see that name go around as well. But yeah, we've been calling it Flipull. I think I like that name better. I think
you flip, you pull,
Yeah. Flipull was more descriptive. Neither title was really perfect. Like you feel like they must have been trying to think of something better than either of those, and they knew Plotting wasn't it. And Flipull, let's try something else, but then that still wasn't quite right. But Flipull is more descriptive of what is actually happening in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess we should talk about like how the game works. Do we know, does the little character have a name? Do we know this? I don't know. It's a little blob. It's a little blob character.
His name is Blob.
Blob. The blob named Blob.
I don't know.
And you like throw these patterned blocks onto this board of similarly patterned blocks, and the concept is that you're supposed to match patterned blocks, and when you do, you end up swapping it with other shapes that you then have to match with other blocks, and The objective is to get rid of enough blocks to consider the board cleared, which gets progressively more difficult as the stages go on because you have to get fewer and fewer blocks left on the board, and sometimes they change the layout of the board so you can only throw blocks in certain rows and columns, and it's a pretty unique puzzle game. Like, when you look at it, I know when we picked the game and I looked at it for the first time, I was like, this looks like I understand what's going on. And then you start to play it and you're like, I don't quite get it. And then you play it a little bit more and you say, oh yeah, now I understand. And then you're like, how do you get good at this? Was kind of like my path of like understanding of this game. Like, how does one figure out how to plot your way through? Oh, I get it now. Plotting. That's it. Yeah. Plot your way through the rest of the game. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else shared the same experience. I know a couple of you, obviously Shadow did as well, ran the game. So what were your experiences with the game? Anybody can jump in.
Sure, I'll jump in. That was kind of my experience. I only had like 1 or 2 streams of the game, and yeah, at first I'm just like, oh, this should be very straightforward, right? It's a grid, you throw blocks at it, and then I'm just like, wait, why did that happen and not? I'm just like, wait, why, what causes the screen to clear, you know? And,
yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah, same. I was just trying to figure it out by just playing the game, trial and error. I'm like, this is a puzzle game. It's gonna make sense sooner or later, but definitely needed the manual to find that out, and I couldn't find the manual online first. Fortunately, Enigma Wave came through. He was in my chat, fellow streamer, was able to find it on, I think, a Dutch website. So the website itself was not in English, but whatever language it was in, the manual, there was a. After reading, I'm like, okay, but wait a second, this stuff isn't happening, and I guess maybe we can get to that as we go along. But the Game Boy version has bugs.
Yeah.
So not only is the RNG rough to deal with, but there are things that don't work correctly that should make the game easier to play through, but frustratingly is not.
Yeah, it's it's interesting. I mean, they tried ? I don't know if you could even say. I mean, it was a rushed job, I think, getting it onto the Game Boy for sure. And I want to before we move on, I want to mention that both Latalis and Shadow held the world record, a new world record in this game during the month. We had no fewer than 4 people achieve faster than world record runs on this during the month of December, which is just insane. Like, it's very cool.
My casual world record day 1.
Yeah. I mean, so we are. I do want to talk about first impressions a little bit more. But it is like some of my favorite parts of like Board Boosters history. It's like when we have people take the world record from each other. I remember there was one day when we did Oregon Trail where like Latalis and I think it was David TKI were fighting for a world record back, and I think they have a tied world record right now in that game.
Clement's Quest.
Yeah, that was an amazing day because I would be watching them go back and forth and like be like, oh, is this the record now? And it was like, I don't know, we have to check. Like, but yeah, it was that is really, really cool to see in the month, is to have it pushed down and like that by different folks. As far as first impressions though, and I did do a run. It didn't end up on the board. I had a bunch of stuff come up this month, but and I will go back and do a run and record it and put it on the board. But the I think there's a few things, if you haven't played the game, that can be said about why it's a bit weird as a puzzle game. Like, everyone I think in chat will have played Tetris, and when you play Tetris the first time, it's a bit confusing. You might like rush a block to the bottom and be like, oh, I don't really understand. Like, is it stuck there? Like that kind of thing. But once you get a line, Tetris, it's now you understand what you're doing, right? Like, as soon as you do that, the first time you're like, oh, okay, like have to get it's not easy, but you get like how it works. You get on how the game functions. With Flipple, you start with like a screen of blocks, and you like attack it, so to speak, with a block you have in hand. And then through the way that it works, the game gives you back a block from the stack, but it's not intuitive how that's happening, and it can be actually kind of hard to figure it out and then remember which one you're going to get. You have to look ahead, not only look ahead to figure out which one you're going to get back from the stack, but also if that's one you can play then afterwards, and then if you can play that subsequent one you're going to get from that. So you have to think about like 3 or 4 different steps ahead.
Like 5D chess.
Yeah, it's way more complicated than where do I put this block in Tetris and which is the next block I'm going to get, right? Like there's actually a lot more pieces moving that you have to be aware of than in a different puzzle game like that, right? So just as far as like a base comparison, I think that's what I would say about it, is that you're thinking about a few more things and it's very confusing.
Right.
Yeah, I think that understanding the clear condition was one of the less intuitive things about the game, where in Dr. Mario you're trying to clear all the viruses, and once there are 0 viruses, this game, like the clear a stage, there was a set number of pieces that needed to be remaining. And you might have junk pills on the screen in Dr. Mario, but at least you're trying to clear the viruses. It's not like clear at least all but 5 of the viruses. And once you still have 5 on the board, you're good. And you're sitting there playing Flipple for the first time, you're wondering, why do I clear the board sometimes and sometimes I don't? What am I doing differently? Like sometimes I need to get it down to 2 or 3 pieces to clear the board. Sometimes I clear it when there's 7 pieces on the board. And why doesn't it just, and then you see the clear condition and you're like, okay, so it doesn't clear. It's not very intuitive. I think you can figure it out without looking it up, but it's hard to even understand that what you're trying to do is you need to get it under a, and the first time you miss after that number, that miss will clear it. So if you're trying to go as fast as possible, missing as soon as possible under a certain number, in most circumstances, I think there is an exception, but in most circumstances, that's faster. So that's what you actually want to do, is set up a miss as soon as you are at the clear condition. But
yeah, I think that's one of the least intuitive parts of the game, is that you need to have no more valid moves.
Yeah,
that's an interesting part. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it also makes it a little bit less satisfying as a puzzle game, as enjoyable as I ended up finding the game myself. The fact that you clear a board without completing it in some way makes it a bit of an unsatisfying puzzle game.
I found that interesting.
Yeah, that's a distraction.
I found it interesting from a speedrun sense, though, because then it's like, okay, how do I get to the end of, how do I clear this, or fail as close to the clear condition as I can,
Failed successfully.
as soon as you hit that clear condition, it's like, well, now I want to lose.
Yeah. I really agree with Shadow's take on this, that it's unsatisfying as a player, just casually, to not be able to clear it. But I think that because this is a fresh game from Taito, right? This is not based on something else. I don't think. I think they just invented this, and I suspect that as they were making the game, they realized you can't full clear it because we're going to constantly run into situations where you're not going to be able to clear the board, right? So we're just have a threshold. It's just once you do that, and then you essentially you're in the winning territory. But it also speaks to why it's really there's something missing as far as making it a perfect puzzle game, is that you couldn't even figure out how to make it clearable. You just had to set a random arbitrary rule, this is when it's done.
Right.
Yeah, and the game does reward you if you get a perfect, where you are left with exactly one of each piece without having a single miss in the stage, and it will give you an extra special block, which I guess we'll get into more what the special blocks are and how they work. But yeah, that's a frustrating thing about it, is basically you say, we want to make this stage harder by setting its clear condition to 6 instead of 7, but now, did the game give me good enough RNG that I can even get it down to 6? Like, it's not
Yeah.
even like it's like a perfect clear is even always possible, at least, not without, pausing the game and,
Yeah.
taking a screen cap. Maybe everyone, I kind of doubt that everyone is actually unsolvable boards. I don't know, though, that we've proven that. I think I remember Uchi saying, though, that was actually the case. But yeah, you can actually get it under 4 remaining pieces at the end if you have misses. And I actually finished a couple boards with exactly 2 pieces left. I never finished any with exactly 1. But
I think the lowest I ever got was 3.
yeah, it can happen, but not without using a miss. And if you use a miss, then you have to use. If you have to use up one of your remaining misses, the game won't award you with a perfect clear at the end.
I think that was kind of their way of like combating the fact that you can't, like, they couldn't.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't find a way to make every board solvable. It's like they allow a certain number of misses, but the problem is you don't get those misses back. So like, you should. I feel like there should be like okay, each board is allowed a miss or something, or.
Yeah.
I don't know. There could have been a better way to balance it, but I don't know. I don't know what the perfect solution is.
Well, the Famicom version does allow you to accumulate misses. I don't know how much we're going to get into the Famicom version.
Let's do it, because I actually didn't.
You can just throw it in there. Yeah.
I did not play the Famicom version, so.
The Famicom version actually functions properly the way it's supposed to, and you can actually accumulate special blocks, which the way it works is each stage you are given a special block to start with. So if you use a special block, there are caveats, especially in the Game Boy version, because there are things that don't work right in the Game Boy version. But what's supposed to happen is you throw a special block, and to whichever block you throw it at is what that special block turns into, and then it will continue to function as that block. So there's 4 types of blocks. There's the circle piece, the square piece, the X piece, and the T piece, or the Taito piece. Which in the Famicom version, it actually does look like the Taito logo. In the Game Boy version, it's an upside down T. I heard people call it different things. I refuse to call it the Taito block, which is what the manual calls it, because
you're not going to go into their corporate shilling. Yeah.
Yeah, I called it the T block or T piece. Because it's an upside down T. But yeah, so those are your 4 shapes, and you throw your special block at one of those 4 shapes, and that special block becomes that shape. And then you're supposed to have 3 special blocks in your inventory, but for some reason the Game Boy version only gives you 2. Famicom version does give you 3. The triangle piece. I definitely heard
triangle a lot.
Triangle. Yeah,
I was called a triangle.
Well, so now I'm wondering, because there's the Taito A, that's like a triangle. So I'm wondering if that's the A makes a sharp.
That's what they were going for.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. But
this Taito has some really good titles, especially puzzle games. I'm a big fan of Kix myself, QIX.
Yep.
This is not their best game.
They have so much. Like, if you look at the title, like, and so many things that nobody's heard of, they just it's almost like they just threw spaghetti at the wall, just like, let's just make everything.
Someone in the 90s at Taito, which is in Japan, it was started by like a Ukrainian refugee. It was like, I got a really interesting history, but someone in Japan in the 90s was sitting there like making these like weird little puzzle games, thinking, you know what, in 2025 there's going to be a group that goes back and plays all these, and I'm going to just give them ample fodder for decades to fucking play.
Yeah.
Classic.
So the Famicom version, just it seems like, so you get rewarded the special blocks much easier.
Yeah, because you're supposed to get you're supposed to get a special block after 20,000 points, and then at 50, so at 20,000 points, at 50,000 points, and then every subsequent 50,000 points. So you should get, if you get to 20,000, you get a bonus special block, 50,000, then 100, 150, 200,000, and so on. You're supposed to be awarded an additional special block. The Famicom version does that. The game does
You
that,
cut out.
except that it glitch. Okay, so the game. I'm sorry, where did I cut out?
It
Right
was
as you were explaining.
But the Game Boy version has some bugs. So there's 3 ways you score. You get your score counts up whenever you get blocks. You clear out blocks. It gives you points based on how many in a row you clear exponentially. And then at the end of each stage, the timer counts down. You get points for how much time you have remaining. And then you get a point bonus based on how many blocks you cleared above and beyond the clear condition. So the only place where the game consistently gives you your bonus special block is if you clear the 2,000, 50,000 thresholds during the block bonus. If you get it during the time bonus, it will, for some reason, it's glitched. They didn't check for it during that countdown, and there's no way to ever get it back because it's fixed on when you cross that threshold.
Yep.
So if you get and generally that's RNG dependent. Really, it's not. You can plan for it. You can maybe make some adjustments to try and avoid getting it during the time countdown. But for the most part, you're taking what the game gives you anyway. So yeah, that's annoying. And during the stage itself, every now and then, I think we noticed it during Uchi, Boss Ogre, and my streams. Like, we started to notice that for some reason we didn't get the special block during a stage. Not sure why, but I'm guessing it had something to do with the game added a multiplier and it forgot to check whatever routine it does when it's adding the 20,000.
You cut out for just for 2 seconds at the end there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
But yeah, that it, for some reason, the game occasionally forgets to check the routine that, whether or not you cross the 20,000, 50,000 point threshold, and, doesn't give you a special block that it's supposed to.
That's so weird that it would. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that this is a theme between the Game Boy and the Famicom versions, that this isn't the only place the RNG, or this is just bugs, right? That's not RNG, but the RNG for the Game Boy version is such that it's all commonly unwinnable, where in the Famicom version that wasn't a problem, right?
I think after I played the Famicom version more, I started to find that the Famicom version also gave you some bad RNG, but it was just
you lost you there for a
it
second.
helped you forgive it more. The movement is smoother in the Famicom version, although I also found I couldn't go back and forth between the two. Now the Famicom version I think has similar RNG. The RNG can be just as bad in both versions, but it's less noticeable in the Famicom version just because it gives you the bonus S pieces when it's supposed to. The Game Boy version
is a buggy mess.
Yeah. Where also another thing is that you get a bonus S block on the next stage that you can pick up if you clear 4 or more in a row on the Game Boy version, and it's supposed to be 5 in a row. But for some reason it works after 4 in a row.
Huh.
To begin with. If you use an S block to clear 4 or more in a row, then it doesn't award you. And that works in the Game Boy version. But one thing I noticed in the Game Boy version compared to the Famicom version is that the Game Boy version trolls you and puts the S block in an unreachable location. The Famicom version seems to do that less often.
Yeah, I mean, we should
see. Yeah.
Yeah, we should also discuss that. Like, so the Famicom version has 50 stages. If you complete all 50 stages, you get a cutscene at the end. You know, and you get this fanfare. But the Game Boy version is glitched to the point where you actually cannot finish the game because it glitches out on stage 49, I believe. You can't even get to 50. Nonetheless, like, finish it. Like, for it just
Yeah, it fails to set a clear condition at 49, so there's no way you can ever clear it.
yeah.
That's
On
ridiculous.
stage 49. The manual even says that there are 50 stages and that the game ends after you complete all 50. But apparently nobody ever play tested it through stage 49 and they didn't catch that. Yeah, so it's yeah, the Game Boy version seems to be unfinished. That, you know, they came, like, the programmers were working on it, and the boss came in and is like, okay, we got to get this game out the door. How much
Ship
more
it, ship it,
time do you
ship it,
guys
ship
think
it.
you need? And they're like, yeah, we can have it done in 2 weeks. And they're like, so it's pretty close then, right? Like, yeah, it's close. We just need 2. Okay, ship it. I'm like, can we
Right.
at least get 2 more days?
No, not at all. It's gone.
Rip.
God, that's
So
yeah.
glad that video game companies learned from that era and don't do anything like that anymore, and that all the video games that do ship are always good and fully done. And
Fully completed and
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm glad the software industry as a whole doesn't do that anymore at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really glad
You
they
might-
didn't turn it into a business opportunity to sell half-baked games and then additions to them later, you know?
Yeah, I'm glad we don't live in that nightmare.
See,
Thank goodness.
the takeaway from this is that the criteria of 10 stages for the Game Boy is a perfect setting for the any percent run for this game. I think anything more would be a little bit unreasonable. But no.
Yeah, I think the highest I ever actually even made it was like stage 17 or 18.
Oh.
And I tried to, after I would finish some of my runs to 10,
Yeah.
it would take some studying to and maybe some save state practice as well to even just at least see all of the boards.
Yeah.
Did
It's
we watch a run?
yeah. For anybody who hasn't seen the run, and
All right.
it'll all make sense, right?
All right, movie night, get your popcorn.
Yeah.
Let's see. I will get this shared here.
And I guess one other thing I want to touch on before
Oh yeah,
watching
go ahead.
a run is that each stage has a different board or layout that is consistent. The layouts aren't random. Like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, they each have their own layout with different caveats and different ways that you have to approach the
Sometimes the ceiling pattern's different. Sometimes there's barrels in the way. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see.
Sometimes the RNG just sucks. You know.
Where is it?
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
While we're pulling that together here, I guess it's good. I'll hold that for later.
Okay.
It's always possible to get bad RNG, and there were
Okay,
so
look, it's
many
us.
that I just looked at stage 1, and once I got some experience running the game, I would just look at stage 1 and be like, nope. The microphone didn't used to be there, but that's the direction of the reset button.
Oh, yeah.
Nope. And yeah, and I would reach over and I'm sorry, chat. But yeah, there were some instant resets where I'd be like, no, what am I looking at? Even if I do clear this, it's going to take me, I'm going to be 20 seconds behind leaving stage 1, and it's instant reset.
All right, we'll pull up the world record videos. This is the current world record of Shadows. Be about 9 minutes 8 seconds. Previous world record was I think 10:20 something like that.
10:23 sound.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I think Latala's got the first world record in our group at 10:18, I think.
Something like that.
10, yeah.
She didn't even realize at first. I had to be like, I think you just got to.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
everyone was posting NES times and Game Boy times in there. I'm just like, I don't know which is which. So I'm just like, I don't know if this is world record. I'm just like, oh yeah, I guess it
This
is.
year,
Hang on.
we've been
I
to.
think it's at 145, I believe, is about where it starts. So I'll get about there.
Thank you,
9 or
Shadow,
so
for
hours
using
there tomorrow.
the
We're gonna
Board
go
Boosters logo.
just
And I
after
think this
4
is. Did
p.m.
you make this overlay, or did somebody else pull together this? overlay?
After 4 p.m. the day rate.
Sorry,
We lost
okay.
you here.
Sorry, go ahead. I'll pause the video here.
I did make this overlay that I'm using, and I did post it in the Board Boosters Discord. Anyone else is free to use it if they want to.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. We really appreciate anytime people use the logo or like contribute stuff like that for other folks to use as well. Like it's a big help. It's definitely encouraged. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, I will get started here and have it start playing. Oh, I need to turn off the music in the background so Bug Doctor's ears stop bleeding. All right, here we go.
For the parking garage, we've been favoriting. Goes
So please
down
let me know in chat
to, like,
if
a low flat rate,
if you
and
can
then
hear everything. I believe the actual this run is gonna fail
so we're gonna
here.
go, like, around
It's
4
actually like a
p.m.
couple
and,
seconds after this. So if you want to kind of give a quick
no,
intro of
can't do that.
what's going on, Shadow, you
Correct. I don't
can.
think anything actually works
Yeah,
here,
I
does
think
it?
already I've probably
this
made up my mind to reset this. Once I had to go up to complete it, I probably made up my mind. Yeah, so right
And
there.
then, so there's
Yeah, it takes a long
I like
time.
that you hit the
Nice
button
little
and
bit.
not the
You're going
microphone there.
to,
That was cool.
Yeah.
We're just gonna hang
And
out
actually,
down
yeah,
there,
I
and
think
then
I'm wearing a
Silent
lapel mic
Hill,
for
and, I'm
during
not
this
too sure if it's
stream.
still in chat. She
Yeah,
remembers
that's
the
something I'm
other-
gonna have to consider now. Is that the
other
microphone
run
is
that is
right here where
that
I
we're
had
gonna stay to
previously
watch
reached to
tomorrow night.
reset. Arm
Wearing
will
a
need to
lapel mic
go-
without a lapel. Where's the truth in that?
Then it's
Yeah.
just a mic, right?
Yeah, Bug Doctor says in the chat that travel distance was a
lavalier
huge
mic, I
was a
suppose.
huge factor, which is
And
totally
going
true.
up and down in the stage. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I was saying
we
earlier,
go,
like this
future
one,
upgrades.
this is gonna be a pretty decent first day. Perfect. Except no, it actually is perfect, and that's something
Dead Rising Remastered Deluxe and Silent Hill 2.
no, that's actually just
Both
short of
very
perfect.
easy.
There might be
Five
another
bricks there.
reset here because I'm pretty sure maybe I get a perfect in stage 2. I know I had a perfect in my previous,
Oh, Laser Dante is jelly.
Yeah, I believe this is.
but let's.
It is
This
awesome,
might be it. I don't
to be
actually
able to
remember. I
go.
thought
One of
that
those
I might be
things, though, if
thinking
it
of my
didn't, like,
previous PB.
Coincidentally, just start
before
coming
the
to
record.
my hometown, then I probably wouldn't have
Okay, so
never
there I did have to find a
actually
place to go
gone.
up. There are.
would have been
I've
one of those
Sometimes-
things
typically
like, "That would
found
be nice,"
if you
but-
go for like the back column, it gets
You know, I'll
really
probably
hard.
never
Like
set
I like to
aside
go
the kind
front
of money I
column or
would
top
need
row
to.
and like work my way in. But like if you get behind
Yeah.
it, it's really rough.
Yeah, there's so many things at play for folks who didn't really dig into the game that like
I mean, still
they're
going down there and
you're
parking
getting
every
back
day,
a
that-
block, which is the
parking
one
fees are
after the
adding
ones
up,
that match the
but
block you throw in.
already
And
just
the
3
blocks
days
also
in, but,
fall when you take out the ones below them. And so even if you think
well,
you know
2
where you're
days
going to be
in,
able
but it
to
felt like
expel the
3
block you've
because
just
of
received,
how we,
you might block it off. So there's just all these things you can do to like kind of screw yourself
how we were
over.
just able
And
to, like,
the
take a
the upper
nap.
part of the screen where you can throw a block in and it'll go down, that the geometry of that changes for each stage. So you can, if you
So
haven't paid attention to it when the
three
game
trips
loads in,
down
like
there.
you might think, oh, I can go through the top,
But
and then
not
you can't. You
actually
can't make
staying
the
in
shot that way. It's
hotel,
just
and
very
we can still
frustrating.
eat in our,
Yeah.
we can still eat at
I'm
home.
sure
Nice.
I'm sure Shadow doesn't do this at all here, but there were definitely times in my runs where I would throw it in the wrong column and it would come back to me, and then your
Oh,
your little
no,
blob
Oh,
makes
I
a little
don't wanna
cute
fall
shaking.
behind before
I
the
would
game.
definitely
I
do
gotta
that.
continue
Why'd you
on.
do that?
Maybe if I do
Bonks.
another section tomorrow morning,
Yeah.
it'll be different.
And I think I definitely even have a bonk or two in the world record.
Oh, that makes me
that-
makes me feel a little better.
One of the things that prevented it from being
Ooh,
sub
wait,
9,
hold on. I think I
which
can do
you know
this.
definitely sub
back
9 is
on the
definitely
plan.
possible. a low 8 at least, probably.
Yeah, there's
even.
a lot I'm looking forward to the rest of the week.
So we see the game did actually get, so the
I'm
S
curious if I
block
can
in the
find
lower
anyone to
right
play
corner
backgammon
actually did
with me in the
increment
board
up from
game
2
room,
to 3. So that would have been when I
while we
crossed
wait
over
between the runs we're
20,000.
going to see tomorrow
Mhm.
night.
I guess I was thinking of my previous PB, the 939, where I had a perfect bonus in the first stage. But I think something I was saying earlier was that
but I'm having trouble finding plays here.
is that
Hold on, come up here.
Oh, you cut out there a little bit, Shadow.
Yep.
so you would generally want to end the board as quick as possible after reaching the clear condition, but with like 2 caveats that if you can
Hold
find
on,
a
that didn't
faster
work the way
clear
I thought it
without
would.
like moving around all over the place, that would be a superior clear. And that if you are able to find a way to get a perfect clear, that
Okay,
is
got out of
better
there,
because just especially in the
still
Game Boy
behind.
version, all of the S blocks you can get are
But at least I'm
are
accumulating
valuable,
misses instead
and
of
even in the
losing them.
later stages, if you have leeway with your S blocks, you can just go ahead and burn them.
The fact
Now
that
stage 6 I think is where
One of the
the game
worst.
gets really hard, somewhat unfair.
the fact that we're on
And-
stage 6 and you still have
Hold
3
on,
special
come up
blocks
here.
really kind of pains me a little bit, as I just was never that
Yeah.
fortunate.
Able to find a way to keep this open. Yeah, I had to go down to that X piece because I couldn't have played the square, and that
Now I
keeps
can
this
do that.
open.
Okay, I see a way, I think. I hope.
Yeah, don't worry, I did. I found it. Past me was worried
Do you
whether
know
or
the
not.
way?
Oh, this is gonna be
Because sometimes you
slow,
think
but
you
at
found a
least I didn't
solution,
botch
but
it.
you actually didn't.
Yeah, you're like one piece off or something.
And it, like, you expect that the blocks are going to drop down in a certain way and open up, and then you realize,
Okay,
oh
stage
no, that didn't
7.
actually happen. And then there's just nothing you can do, and it's either reset or take a miss or think about it all over again to see how it's going to work. If I go to the top like this, then I am going to try to
Okay, now we'll get this.
find a way to stay on the top. And actually right here, we find 4 square pieces in a row, so that should put a S block on the next stage. I think that's actually the first of those that we're going to see, and we're also going to see me cross over 50,000 points. And whenever you see those series of S blocks in a row,
Alright, we're good.
you actually kind of want
It's
to
clear.
save them for later, because if you get them too early, you run into the problem that you run into the problem that first you've
Okay,
cleared too
I
many of
might get
those
another
pieces,
miss for
and those are going to be
crossing.
lower in proportion to everything else now and make the puzzle harder to
Okay, yeah,
figure
I
out.
can
Yeah,
do
so
that.
there's the S piece. So I shoot a circle piece at the S piece and it doesn't count, and then the next thing it hits is an S piece.
Wow.
Hold on.
And
I
right
think
there,
this will be a good start.
the S blocks make it harder, actually. Like right here, we're gonna get 4 squares in a row again, but yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah, you can't use
Because,
the X afterward.
Yeah. So I
And you
noticed
wanted to
that and aborted.
And you wanted to save the S blocks for, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, situations
No,
where
not
they're
quite.
necessary, but right there I had to miss again anyway. But we get a
That was
clear
a
right
full
after,
stage
so those
6.
those were
Knowing
actually
those
fast
misses that I
misses used there.
accumulated, but
hmm
And now what? We're in stage 9. I think I'm
might
getting
have
another S
another
block
chance
here
on
on
this next
stage 9, and
stage.
we still have 3
Yeah,
misses
there's
to go.
another
Yeah, there's
one.
an S
Right in the
block
middle.
in there. Yeah, of
But this-
course it puts it in the middle. Now, one weird thing about the S blocks is that if you approach an S block, and it should count as whatever piece is next, but instead, for some reason, if you approach it from above, it's all messed up. So let's see. I'm gonna
Interesting.
probably go for it here after getting So I'm gonna need to approach this one with a
This is
circle
where I'm
from
gonna
the
get a
side.
circle
Yeah,
piece
so there
back
it
instead of
is.
the square, but
And
just have to go with it.
It just returns the circle back to you. That's odd.
yeah, so right there, like I didn't expect it to, and I
just
think if
burn
you approach it
this.
from above, it does the opposite. It actually does what you would expect, but I think even right there, I was
Oh,
saying to
no.
myself that I
Need to
was
stay up
going,
one
oh,
more.
there's a bomb. That I was
Nice
going
bomb.
to
much
get,
time
you
away.
know,
Going to
a
stage
bad
10 though,
piece
on
back,
pace.
but I decided I just had to do it.
This really could have been sub 9.
And you got 2
Think-
S pieces in the bank still, so it's pretty good.
One of the less
But
intuitive
hopefully
things
doesn't fall
about
apart
this
here in
is that
stage 10.
when you throw a block, and folks like who are watching who haven't played it, the piece that you get back, like you throw a piece, it sucks up the pieces that are like it, and then it leaves itself behind, and so you still have to deal with that block you've thrown.
Yeah.
And so that you're adding to the stack as well as
yeah,
taking
I
stuff
can do
out of it, and that is really frustrating because it can mess up your math as you're going along.
You kind of have to
What is gonna be
Fine.
kind of have to
Burn it.
balance taking all the pieces evenly if you can.
Yeah.
Like
And right there, I just decided to take a miss because I saw that
Okay.
it was going to clear no matter what I did. So
Yeah, faster to
decided-
miss than to move up
Yeah.
and down.
yeah, well, even in that case, it was
There we
faster to
go.
miss than think
Full
about
30
it. Because
seconds.
even
It's a
now,
little
watching it back,
disappointing in
I'm
the
like,
end
well, what
because I
else was I
definitely
going to
could've
do there?
gotten
And there
sub
probably
9 on
was
this
a better
one.
play, like if you're trying to preserve the pieces beyond this.
909. Very good.
909.01. So yeah,
There we go.
count it out to a
Yeah.
908.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
So we round that up,
Hey,
right?
thoughts,
It's
910,
910, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did retime that
I can go here.
to about an 8. It was like it was a high 908. It was 908, like 7, 8 or so. I can't remember exactly.
I love you getting the world record and then just
Oh, this is
like,
gonna
no,
give me
I'm
a
just gonna
circle
keep
back,
going.
which I
Just
think
gonna keep
is a
playing.
glitch.
Yeah, just gonna play a little
No,
bit
wait,
more.
it gave me the T piece back. which
Yeah.
is what I thought I should do.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
going
not good
from
there.
above or below.
Are we able to
I-
pull up
this
the
game-
hand drawn thing now?
I do. I have that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to
Yeah.
throw that up
Oh.
here?
There is a
Sure.
mistake on there that I need to fix.
Oh well, we can talk about it.
That's fine.
I wanted to make sure what we're about to show folks it was in a part of the show because it was just one of my favorite things that sort of had come up for like all of Board Boosters history. Because as a child of the 90s and like playing like old NES games and like making maps for myself on paper, I saw it and I was like, this is video games. This is what it was like. We used to do this stuff all the time. And Shadow did a bit of mapping for some things in the game, which Zero is going to pull up, and I just love it so much. Oh, there it goes. It's on screen. But yeah, folks at home can see it's like mapped out what the stages are going to sort of look like, where the columns are. Shadow, I guess you can walk people through it. I just wanted folks to have a look at it to be like, oh, this is the level of thinking we had to do about like how the game works.
Yeah, this definitely reminds me of childhood video games. Just writing shit down like that. It's nice. Very pretty handwriting, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Next
can
says,
see
what
in
year
my-
is this from?
You could see in my splits that I had the column numbers written out, and I wanted to add those to my splits, so that I could quickly reference. Okay, this stage has these columns that you can't access. So I drew the and the best way, for better or worse, that I could think of to just make a quick reference for myself was to go and draw out every single stage and analyze it like this, and then I could get the information that I needed at a glance. But then also at least that work was done, so if I ever did just want to like look at the stages at a glance,
So
that I would have this. And also I did learn some other stuff about the game while making it, and I
We lost you, Shadow, for the second there.
oh no, what? I wonder why that keeps happening. But Yeah, is this the
It-
stage with a mistake? No, it's not.
It's
Basically,
Oh.
it's really cool.
it is really cool.
Yeah.
I wanted
And,
to
but
I wanted to ask like what the unlockable part was down the bottom right. What does that refer
Okay.
to?
So what I meant by unlockable is that when you approach, so you approach the blocks by shooting, your block from, horizontally. You either can always, either each row is blocked or it's not. And I actually think there's only one blocked row in all of the first 10 stages. They get more common if you try and,
Mm-hmm.
but the when you
Squeaky
try and
boys,
approach
yeah.
them from when you try and approach them from the top vertically, then
Yeah.
you're dependent on, what angles the game lets you approach from based on the ceiling and the pipes that you can either bank it off of or go through. So each stage has, bank shots that are open vertically from the very start of the level, and you never have to worry about not being able to access that column. But then certain stages have uh, have bank shots that are blocked at the start of the stage, but you may be able to unlock them as the stage goes on. Um, so that's what I meant by,
Oh, okay.
and mostly that applies to column one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that I thought there was going to be another exception somewhere, but I think it turned out that it only applied to column one. We can scroll through and see if it ever shows up for another column, but for the most, yeah. So like this is one where if we scroll back up to stage
Sick.
6,
Mm-hmm.
um,
7.
where it shows that there's two pipes stopping you from getting into column one.
Right.
So I noted that one was was an available bank shot, but with an asterisk because you have to clear out row 6
Sure.
before you can bank into column one.
Hmm.
Um, so that's what I was looking for when I had that unlockable column. It kind of turned out that it only applied to column locked. It was locked at first, but you could unlock it. Um, but it kind of always applies to column one that as you bring the board down, if you clear out those higher rows, you don't have to move up as high to drop a bank shot into column one, which does actually kind of become relevant in the end game of each stage. Generally, you don't want to do that because eventually you're going to return yourself the same piece. But if
Mm-hmm.
that will clear the stage for you, then it is good to keep in mind that you don't have to go all the way back up to drop into column one once you clear out the higher rows.
I see.
So we've had people do like wild spreadsheets. Oregon Trail, Latalis made wild spreadsheets for that. We've had
Me and
people do
Aces.
yeah, exactly. We had people do some pretty cool maps. I think like Defenders of Dynatron City, people did a
A
map up for
dread
that.
sheet.
There
Yes, the
was
dread
there
sheet.
was like a lot of resources. I think so for Corridor 7, Kenny did like a bunch of like a guide work for Corridor 7. None of it was hand drawn, and I think if you participate in a board boost and hand draw something, there's a good chance it's going to get on the show. So just remember that, folks who are like, I want that clout, that good like board boosters clout, and be on the show.
Well, and like
Yeah,
some people, I don't know, depending on like how many speedruns you've done or anything, like you might not realize that one of the biggest barriers to entry, I feel, for a lot of these speedruns is that there's no resources for it. Like there's definitely been speedruns that I've been considering, but then you look to see if there's any resources, and then you start to consider it a little bit less because it's like, okay, now I'm gonna have to like scour through a bunch of people's runs or watch people, see if there's a Discord that's not posted anywhere, and just like like putting these resources onto these speedrun.com boards and putting them in on the for other people to see will encourage more people to run these games, you know, in the future.
And we've seen people come behind us and like run games like Quarter 7 where they might not have beforehand, right?
Exactly. And using the strategies that we developed and the you know, the forms and everything that people in the community have made, which is very cool to see.
Yeah. And I think one other thing I want to mention about that those drawings that I made was that one other thing that I wanted to visualize was which like if we look at the little piece of the screen in the corner I'm pointing, the way it looks for me, it's actually over here. Delay, but like if you look there, like the blob is going to be lined up with something on the right hand side of the screen, like something in the HUD on the right side, but you're aiming at columns that are on the left. So it was hard for me to like look at the entire screen at once when I'm focusing just on the blob. So I wanted to be like, okay, I'm shooting this block into such and such row to either go straight into that row or drop down vertically. Where does the blob need to be? And I would line the blob up with, with a certain like part of the HUD, like where it says clear block, the number of
Oh.
blocks remaining. So one reason, and that's another reason that I made those drawings, is just so that I could visualize it and associate each row with
A specific part of the HUD. That's pretty cool.
That is actually that is like definitely like next level thinking about how the movement to get it faster. Yeah, that's really smart.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So yeah.
So then you're forcing yourself to just sort of look at one part of the screen rather than like traveling, which takes up thinking, like brain time, you know, like thought time. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and that was one thing I don't know necessarily if that, if it's helpful as a guide. And I guess at least other people, that want to use it in the future would have that all drawn out without needing to like take their own screen caps or draw it out themselves. So that might be helpful. But I think it was actually really helpful to me just to make it. So so like if your brain is wired that way, where that would actually help you. And I think, Future Rush mentioned in chat, you should see his
the Zelda 2 maps,
which is actually why I had the graph paper, was for Zelda 2, just because it's like I can look at the map on the screen and be like, okay, this is where 16 steps, from this point to this point, that's really the relevant number in that game with the way the step counts work. But it's like, but I can't scroll on like my cell phone and look at the map that's out there that has the diagram. I need to draw it out myself and think about it.
Yeah, Bug Doctor says he wants to see those maps, and I agree. I think we demand to see these maps.
Give us the maps.
I was honestly kind of worried that we had Shadow on and we were gonna get through a whole hour without talking about Zelda 2. I was like, is this okay? Like, is there like some sort of medicine Shadow could take to like if it doesn't go an hour without talking about Zelda 2?
Yeah.
Impossible. I mean, I wasn't even trying to force it in there. It actually just came out. But, trying to get me to go an hour talking about games without mentioning Zelda 2 was not something that was ever really going to be possible.
To be fair, Future Rush was the one that lit the fire in chat.
It's true. Future did put it in there a little bit.
Future Rush enabling Shadow. Yeah. Something I wanted to make sure that we mentioned before we go to picking our February game is that there were other categories for Flipull that were run by the community, specifically for the NES and Famicom version, which are the advanced boards. The advanced board or like version of the game I don't know why they called it advanced, because honestly, I think it's actually less advanced. It's easier.
It's like dumbed down, right?
It's kind
Yeah.
of dumbed down. So what it is that the board layout is always the same. So it's going to be the exact same pattern. You're going to be given the same starting block every single time, for all of the stages in the game. And there's a 10 stage advanced, and then there's the 50 stage advanced, which were both the world records were snatched up by our own Beat Zero. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. That we managed to.
Dumbed down Flipull wouldn't sell well. True.
So that was pretty wild. That we managed to get those boards completed, or world records improved on those runs too.
It's taken all the categories by storm.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
We continue our trend of setting a world record in every single game that we touch.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that is true. We've improved the world record on every game that we boosted, which is because it's true that like approaching a speedrun with a community like this, like just we're only running these games for a month. It's crazy that like we discover, like, obviously these boards haven't been like super like there's only so many people on the board, so like the competition is less, so like just that alone is probably going to most of the time result in the board not being pushed to its fullest. But the fact that we're only spending a month on this, and most of these like new strats are discovered within the first like week or two, and then so many people in the community are managing to like learn these strats and put up these amazing times on the game, is just like, it blows my mind every time, like that we're able to like make that happen. So
We're kind of cool, I guess.
guess so. I guess we're cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Should we find out what Zero is chosen for our next month's game?
Yeah. Should we do the rigged wheel?
The rigged wheel?
Yeah.
What?
So while Zero's pulling that up there, just a few things I do want to mention, right? And I do want to say, just in general, if you have like an event going on, if there's something going on for your community or a community you're a part of, let us know. And like, if it's, if it fits in our wheelhouse, we will definitely like share information about it. I do want to mention that there is a video game trivia night on the 26th. That's Bug Doctor's video game trivia night, which is always a good time. If you wanna watch that show, check out Bug Doctor's channel. There's an event in the Discord, in Bug Doctor's Discord. Zero Counts does both two extra different things: a high score challenge and a like a video game book club. You don't read books. I don't know why I called it that, but where people play games together and talk
Catchier.
about, like, it's very similar in a lot of ways to like the discussions we have about the games that we run. So if those interest you, definitely check out Zero Count's channel. In the speedrunning community, in a more broad sense, if you've ever heard of the Big 20, this is a group, a speedrun group like ours that is much more established, but they are I think launching the next Big 20, or releasing the game list tomorrow. So if that interests you, go check out Big 20. And if you want to get the Discord links for all those things, let us know. We can pass them on. But again, if you have community news about stuff going on, we want to share it. We want to pump people up and let folks know what's going on. If you're a board booster and you're ever running anything in a marathon, whether it's a board boost game or not, let us know. We'll share it. We'll let folks know that you're going to be doing that, so you got your crew with you when you go and do it.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we pull up the wheel here? Boom. There it is.
Wheel.
So
What have we got here?
so there's a lot of people on this list here. We're gonna shuffle the names here, so I don't get.
We've never had one person who's had two games picked, right? Hasn't
No,
happened yet.
no, we have
A
not.
second game. Yeah. Okay.
Nope, that has not happened.
It is possible. There are a couple people on here who have been picked before. Also, just to double check. Yeah. Okay. I think we're good. No one who has been recently picked is still on here.
They shouldn't be. And if it gets picked and I mess that up, we'll we'll reassess. But anyway, let's do this.
And
All right.
so close.
There are a good number of suggestions that I've never heard